Hey, practice people. Welcome back to another episode of In Practice, the show where we talk to people with extraordinary skills about how they practice, what they think about practicing, and what they've learned from it. My guest today is an accomplished trainer, that being personal trainer or performance coach for professional athletes, director of physical wellness for InMotion, which is an organization that helps people with Parkinson's through different exercise and creative modalities. And for several years, a trainer at the NFL Combine. At different times, he's a youth football, baseball, soccer, basketball coach, one-time college football player, one-time amateur bodybuilder, and owner of a very impressive gym in the Cleveland area, ATP Evolution. So pretty interesting guy. I got to sit down with him at the facilities for InMotion in Warrensville Heights, Ohio. And we had a really cool conversation about training compassionately, training for dignity, and everything from mindset to breaking down movement for performance. Just a man who loves what he does, is so passionate about it, and it was so fun to talk to him. So please welcome to the show, Benjamin Rossi. All right. So I'm speaking with a giant, bald, beautiful man. Looks like if we were Pokemon, he would be the fully evolved version of me. But Ben, where are we right now?
We are at ATP Evolution and InMotion, which is a wellness community for people with Parkinson's disease.
Wow. Okay. So it's pretty giant facility here.
Yeah.
Actually. How long has InMotion been part of it?
Well, InMotion's been around for 4 years, and ATP Evolution's been around for 8 years. We're in our 8th year.
Wow.
Yes.
Big expansion.
It is a huge expansion. But we're dealing with a for-profit business and a non-profit business.
Yeah.
So 2 separate worlds.
How did you become involved with Parkinson's disease?
I had a longtime client that was diagnosed with Parkinson's. He called me on an afternoon and was like, "Oh, Ben, I've been diagnosed. What do you know about PD?" And I said, "I know absolutely nothing about Parkinson's other than Muhammad Ali and Michael J. Fox." And he said, "Well, I heard of an amazing exercise program out of the Columbus area called Delay the Disease. I'm sending you in 2 days." So in 2 days' time, I went. He sent me. And in about 2.5 days, I was certified to teach a Parkinson's class, community-based exercise class.
Wow.
So that's where it started. And, and being in the fitness industry I'm year 21 right now. But being in this business at that point, it was about 10 years in the business. When I found out that exercise was so powerful and good as a dose of medication for people with Parkinson's, it was pretty empowering. So I jumped all in. It gave me really an opportunity to work for a cause.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I put a big question mark next to is delay the disease. So what are those classes like?
Where? The one that I learned from or the class that I teach here?
Okay, well, how are they different?
Okay, good. So Delay the Disease was really their approach to Parkinson's and exercise is terrific, and it's really a fundamental approach. Really taught the functions and it addressed specific things for Parkinson's. How do you get out of a car? How do you get out of bed? And what are the specific muscles for it? But I am a performance coach by trade, and that's why I opened the ATP Evolution right next door. And that being said, it's how do the best athletes in the world train? That's really my background. And what does it look like and what's the science behind it? So I merged performance training with Parkinson's training, and along the way picked up several other certifications, one in particular out of Arizona called Power Moves, which is a little more intense program for Parkinson's. I love it, but it still wasn't what we were doing. And so I took a merger of multiple forms of exercise and added some amplitude to it. And that's when we really started to see amazing things happen with people with Parkinson's.
Yeah, it's a good mix. So Tai Chi, boxing, yoga, dancing, cycling. A few of these, and there's some music programs that are going on. So how important is cadence? Because that was one thing that came up when I was reading about the cycling end of it.
It's humongous. It's the idea of dual tasking and That's what we found is the science is really the big thing with Parkinson's is being able to multitask, dual task, be able to do movements that tie your brain to into what you're doing. So that's the value of cadence. You mentioned all these different modalities of fitness under one roof. That truly is what separates us and makes us the only entity of our sort in the world. I travel to a World Parkinson Congress and meet the best of the best in the business for Parkinson's. And there's nowhere that there is a community center for people with Parkinson's. Now you can go online and you can look up exercise for PD and you'll find Rocksteady boxing and dance programs, and you'll find Tai Chi's and different yoga programs that are separate around the community. And what we do is we offer it all under one roof. And we learned a lot about, what community means to these individuals. So we have 1,100 strong at InMotion right now, people with Parkinson's and their caregivers or care partners. Forgive me, we say care partner here. And we were amazed to see what happens when they all come together and see what it's like to meet other people that are going through the same type of situation. We've changed a lot over the years here. The main goal was to open up InMotion next to ATP Evolution so that you can take the stigma away from Parkinson's, because people with Parkinson's, they wear a stigma on them. Man, I've been diagnosed, here I am shuffling, or maybe I have a tremor. I have all these symptoms, and people, the way they look at themselves and how other people look at them, it creates a tough situation. So my goal was to create these two facilities next to each other where maybe a pro athlete could be training with a group of people with Parkinson's at the same time, and you create this happy, safe environment. So having both facilities side by side is a clutch thing. And like I said, all these different forms of exercise, it's unheard of to have it all working together. And what I work tirelessly on these days is trying to determine what is exactly the InMotion way. As a program director here, I've really developed so many different methods of why do we have this class following this class following this class. And I'm working hard to define what that means. If you look at our schedule here, we have 4 different colors of classes here.
Yeah, I saw that on the website.
Yeah,
almost so yellow, green, orange, and blue levels.
Correct.
Yeah, so like karate, like moving up through the belts, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, I was forced to, when we first started here 4 years ago, it was, let's get everybody we can in this house, in this roof, no matter what we can do. Get them here, get them to exercise, person with Parkinson's, their care partner, come to classes. And, it took off. We only had classes 3 days a week here when we started and offered very minimally. And we saw that wasn't good enough. So in 6 months' time, I had to move that to 5 days a week and expand our schedule. And before long, I had to ask the care partners to step out of class because we needed to focus on our people with Parkinson's just for space. And then, we do assessment here every 6 months, which is beyond valuable to us. We have to, as a facility that offers its services free of charge, we go out and seek grants, and we're looking for funders on a regular basis. We have to be able to show outcomes. We have to be able to show that we are making progress here, and we do that. But I'll get back to that. But I used the assessments that I was doing to create a criteria for different levels here, because as coaches, and it was coach wide here. We have 33 coaches here, by the way, that are qualified to work with Parkinson's, and we all sat down and said, we're really starting to coach to our lowest level. We're beginning to, in our classes, we're looking at the lowest denominator. We're really focusing on them, yet there's some people that we know can do way more. So that's where this criteria started to come. It's like, I have to be able to separate this out. So our lowest level is our yellow level. It's not a negative thing. It's just where you are in your course of the disease. Those are typically people that are in wheelchairs, walkers, and we do require their care partner to work with them in the class. The next level is a green level, which I added in last. So I added it in above my yellow level to keep things positive here. I didn't want to drop anybody down a level. I added a level up. And the green level is, they don't require a care partner, but it is more of a chair-based type class than all of our levels. Orange level, these people can get on and off the floor without assistance. That's kind of how I base that. And the blue level is just our push to the max crowd. They're typically a younger onset crowd that really can just kick butt. Be honest with you. Yeah.
So how have you seen the change from the program and the people who are coming here?
Well, like I said, first of all, their attitude changes dramatically. My mantra is good, better, best. Never let it rest. Your good is better and your better is best. It's tattooed on my arm. That hand has been up and done 1 million breakdowns with thousands and thousands of people with Parkinson's. We wear that armor on our sleeve. And that's the first thing. They have an attitude. They come in here, and that's when you walk through the door, I know I'm going to get better here. The criteria was key. We're watching people make dramatic changes here. Last September was the last big group assessment. We do assessment September and March. And in September, we had 11 individuals actually move up in the ranks here, which is amazing because we're dealing with a neurodegenerative disease. This is
reversing it.
So, like I said, I've shown and delivered a poster presentation of our results in Portland, Oregon, but that was 3 years back, right when we were getting going. And I started showing results and seeing it was like out of 18 people. And we're like, oh, look what's happening. This is great. I'm actually going to Kyoto, I think that's how you say it, Japan, in June of this year for the next World Parkinson Congress and delivered our results for the past 4 years. I'm super excited to do. I just did this for the Cleveland Brain Health Initiative. It's a new big initiative that's going on where they're really working to bring together a lot of the hospitals, a lot of people that are focused on neuroscience. And I went up against 24 young neuroscientists, right? Must have been the bald thing. No, I went up against 24 young neuroscientists and took second place delivering our results. And when I present the results, it's a matter of showing that we are enhancing their quality of life. It's one of our big assessments we do. It's called a PDQ-39, which is really just a check on these boxes. And the other one is our Better Everyday assessment. Better Everyday is the program that I created from the Delay the Disease, the Power Moves, and my background in performance training. It's called Better Everyday. So, and I created an assessment. It's a 10 exercise assessment that focuses on each specific symptom of Parkinson's: getting out of a chair, stepping over an object. How well do you balance? How well is your rotation? Can you get on and off the floor? There's a measurement for a cognitive assessment. It's called a Stroop test. They have to focus on colors and what they see. We do a backwards assessment. We do a get up out of a chair, walk around a 10-yard object. We do a 2-minute endurance test. So it attacks and addresses every specific symptom of Parkinson's, and that's what I've measured for 4 years here. And I'm so happy. I mean, it's amazing to have this data. And what I presented, it's awesome. What I tell everybody is, number one, if you look at this chart, each one of my members gets a chart after they've done 2 assessments here, and it shows their progression and where they're at and how they're doing on each one. And we keep a tab on it every time. And what I see in my community at large is that, if we're staying right around that, if everything's kind of the same as it's been, we're making huge progress. We see some areas go way up. We see some dip slightly, which means nothing to me. It's just still a progressive disease. But for the average of our community here, everything is level and doing amazing, and people are holding strong. And I can safely say that we are pushing off this disease. We are delaying it. We're doing it. It's amazing. So talk about something that's powerful to walk into on a daily basis. Please.
Yeah, it's a sort of different way of approaching something that's usually such a clinical problem.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's well said.
I saw on the websites the mind, body, spirit approach to all of it, and that's pretty holistic.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's really what we are. We speak of ourselves as a holistic center of excellence.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't think of applying community and a spiritual practice to taking on Parkinson's disease. Right on. But after you read about all of it and see what you guys are doing, it makes perfect sense.
That's right. Yeah, the community side of this it's hard to take. What really drove me to get into this, all right, hopefully I'm not steering off track too much, but what really drove me to get into Parkinson's, besides my client that was diagnosed, at the same time that I got qualified with Delay the Disease in Columbus, University Hospitals, literally the same year, like it was just fresh. Exercise and this type of approach to Parkinson's was new. Up to this point, you'd look online and you'd see an old decrepit person with a cane that has Parkinson's, and that was the face of PD. So University Hospitals puts on a boot camp once a year, and the boot camp is an all-day event where the morning is like a neurologist, movement disorder specialist, physical therapist, nutritionist. They all speak in the morning about Parkinson's and what's going on with it, what's trending with it. In the afternoon is all breakout sessions, and this is when I learned more about the other exercise modalities. So here's rock steady boxing. Here's Yes, I Can Dance. There's a yoga program. There's Delay the Disease was there. Some other type of programming. But The first one that I saw, there was about 100 people that showed up to this. It was at Lander Haven in Beechwood. And then now you fast forward it. They didn't have one this year. It's the first time, but that's besides the point. But there's like 2,000 to 3,000 people showing up to these events with a wait list to get to these things now. So the first year I saw this, you see these people like there's a stigma. All of a sudden there's a community of people with Parkinson's that are forming. And you see them light up like, oh, other people are dealing with this too. And then they get introduced to these different forms of exercise. Wow, this is pretty awesome. Well, 4 p.m. rolls around, the event's over with. And they walk out the doors of Lander Haven, and then now what? Well, where are you going to go? They brought Rock City Boxing in from Indianapolis. They brought Yes I Can Dance in from New York City. They brought, on and on and on. You see where this is going. No one was local. So the first year, I saw it, and I wasn't happy about it. I was already working in the mentor area doing my community class and loving it and seeing how powerful it was. But then I just saw something else. I've learned of all these other types of exercise, and I've seen what a community does with these people. So I went back to year 2, saw the same thing again. Maybe there were definitely more people there, but it really just pissed me off. It was the most upsetting thing to watch because there's nowhere for these people to go. So I teamed up with my client with Parkinson's and the other gentleman that did all these paintings here with Parkinson's. And then Dr. Karen Jaffe, Dr. David Riley were all founders of this. There's 5 founding members of this program. And realized that there was a huge need for something like this. And I had the gym. My gym this is 10,000 square feet that I put a wall up because I trained the landlord, right? And I just begged her for like 3 years, please do not do anything with this space. Right now it's my storage place. I would just stuff stuff over here. And eventually we cut the wall up. We blew a hole in the wall and said, we're going to start this place. And took a shot in the dark. And then here we are with all these people.
Right on. Yeah. It's so this is the one question I wanted to start out with, but the InMotion stuff is just so cool. We had to follow up on it. But seeing these people kind of become inspired by the community and a change in how they view themselves and their actual quality of life. I want to ask you, as a coach and as a trainer, what do you think is the percentage between showing people how to train and how to improve, and what is you finding a way to inspire them to do it?
Wow. It's an awesome question because you know what, man, I think first and foremost, I got to say that paying attention to details has been my claim to fame in my business. And I think there's a big...
taking on those 10 symptoms with 10 new metrics.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the first part of that is, and I see a lack of that in my industry. There's great coaches in this industry, but they don't all sit back and make sure everything is right on point and where it should be. There's a lot of coffee drinking coaches out there that miss out on the details. And I want to get that point across first. And that's not a slam on anybody. That's more like I'm calling you out kind of approach. We got to get the details down. And that's where it starts. So that's where, being able to address Parkinson's head on and most symptomatic approach was key. But what's the second part of your question? I'm sorry, I steer away, man. I could go on a tangent for hours.
You're fine. Yeah. Between finding out exactly what the right thing to do is and inspiring people to do it. Because that really seems like where the magic is happening.
Inspiration is the key. So when I told you that we wear this body of armor, I live and die by the value of 212 degrees. You know what that means? 212.
What's going on at 212?
Okay, so at 211 degrees, water's hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. And when water boils, it produces steam, and steam can power a locomotive. It's 1 degree difference. 1 degree difference. So we focus on becoming 1% better every day. Like I said, we live and die by that good, better, best mantra. But, inspiring people is the key to this. And it is. But it was about creating that message. You have to teach people the skill of the art of like the mentality side of this. Because if your mind's not right, you're not going to make anything happen in here. But if your mind's right and you walk in that door knowing I'm going to get better today, good, better, best, if that's your constant message you're hearing, because every class breaks down with that here, that's our golden rule. If everybody's going through that and it's constantly said to you over and over again, it becomes hardwired. So the mentality side of this is clutch. It's clutch. Maybe that's
sort of what this show is about.
I mean, really, that's the most important part of this whole thing. The details matter no matter what. That makes the details easier. If you have everybody tied in mentally and they're ready to go and they're strong. Mental toughness with Parkinson's is under this roof is the name of the game. And I think that that's the biggest problem with Parkinson's right now is we're not getting to them mentally. We're not teaching them the right way. And I say that because I only have 1,100 people here out of 30-some thousand in Ohio. And we're not getting enough yet. So we're not spreading that enough. So one of our biggest goals here, and as the program officer here, is really to determine, how do we get more outreach? How do we reach the masses with this? How do we create this InMotion way? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are underserved out there with Parkinson's, and it bothers me because I know that the ones that are here, they're reaping the reward, So, like I said, I mentioned the word, the details or the tough side I see in this Parkinson's word is like anything else. There's ego attached to it, and we kick that to the curb in this place. We're trying to work as a team of 30-some coaches here, 15 over there, trying to figure out what it takes to do right by people and to make sure that they're getting the best out of it. They're mentally strong. They're physically strong.
When does ego get in the way? Or when have you seen
ego ego gets in the way because what I'm trying to do is spread this word around the world, right? Ego gets in the way when people think that their way is the only way. And don't take that the wrong way. I keep talking about the InMotion way. The InMotion way is multiple forms of modalities combined and working together to make it happen. I mentioned Power Moves. I mentioned Delay the Disease, Rocksteady Boxing. Those are individual companies that are qualifiers for Parkinson's. And if we can reach to them and help them understand, ego aside, that we need to merge together to create this form. I don't need to open up InMotions around the world. I just want the concept of why we do what we do and combine everybody together to make that happen. The biggest problem with this, and that also includes doctors and neurologists and movement disorder specialists. The name of the game for PD, they're almost untouchable. And I found that out early on. But, what do you know? I try to reach out to these neurologists. Like, what do you know? You're a bald trainer. What do you know about Parkinson's? I'm the best. And the goal is to create a better continuum of care. The goal is for these people with Parkinson's to reach a diagnosis, that they should be sent to a physical therapist who refers them to a place like ours where they can reach and maximize their care. I can recommend back to them. They can recommend back to their neurologist. And we create a new voice for this disease. And that's I'm working on it, man. It's not easy.
Yeah, I feel like the way to get there is to let the results speak. And it sounds like you have those.
That's it. That's the name of the game. I got to keep producing these results. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job, I got to say.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So a little about you. So you are just an intense guy, and not just for InMotion, although definitely for InMotion. But I know that you're doing some football coaching for youth football, some youth baseball. You help with the NFL Combine.
Oh yeah, that was okay. Well, I haven't in the past year or two. But I worked for Under Armour for a while. That's when I became a performance coach. I would go down to IMG Academy. And the first time I got the opportunity was at IMG Academy. You can become sponsored and get like rights by Under Armour. If you go down there, you train with the best of the best. And that's when I took my career from personal trainer to performance coach. It's just a next level. And, you go down there to IMG, which I went every 4 months for 2 years.
So IMG is in...
It's in Bradenton, Florida.
I know they have a big office here and I think another one in New York.
I think that's a different IMG. This is like the complete, maybe they're IMG is like the sponsor of it, but IMG Academy that's the best of the best. That's like the creme de la creme of fitness pros. I hung out with the best, man. All these guys, you can go online and see their videos and stuff. We were all there working together, figuring this out. They started this whole movement called Combine 360, which turned into Ignite 360. And it was just, man, training after training, the mentality and the vision. And you go down there thinking you're in shape, they put you through 5 days of hell. It's like the worst thing you've ever done. It's the boot camp beyond boot camps, and it's all damn day long. And it just gets beat into you. It was the best learning I've ever had in my life. I mean, it really was like, this is it. Let's go do it. This is it. Let's go do it. And it was fitness 24/7. You were like, I thought college football was hard. This was a different world. But no, it changed my life. And at the same time, once you became qualified as this Combine 360, that's when you were tied in with the combines. And we would travel. I've been all over the place. And we would take on like 250 athletes at a time and have to put them through these full assessment, full combine. We're doing, it was insane.
So is it
was
about the
insane.
athlete or is it about the program in this sort of situation? Because I don't know how many trainers are there matching up with how many athletes.
Yeah. It really was. Well, it's about both, but it was about the program I learned, and it was about the programming behind it. And it was amazing going to that, seeing these athletes, 250 of the best would show up, getting ready to go to the next level, and getting ready to go to the pros. You never, God, there you go. Okay, so maybe it all ties in now, right? Why we go after Parkinson's from a mental approach. How do you think those athletes were mentally? Mental fitness was a huge side of what we learned there. So these kids would come in, and you've never met more people. The willingness to push to the max was beyond belief and awesome to see. That's why it was so fun to go do that. We would go everywhere. We were in Nebraska for the top 50 in Nebraska. We were, I say we, it's one of my business partners, Dan Medvis, who's not here in this room, but he traveled with me, and he was the one that encouraged me. And hey, I heard of this IMG opportunity. Go check it out. So yeah, that was a life changer, man. But yeah, I've coached. I was a head coach for like 15 years for youth sports, football, baseball, basketball, sports I never played before. I'm now coaching a soccer team for a 13 and 14-year-old soccer team indoor, which I've never done. I played it when I was a kid, but I love coaching. Performance is performance is performance.
So it sounds like you like to break these things down and then build them up from specific points.
100% right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you don't coach basketball because you played basketball and you know how you learned, not the way that you had Parkinson's before and you know how you got better or anything. It's you break it down.
I break it down. It's studying it to the max and its application. And, if there's anything I could say about going and getting I have too many certifications. It's annoying, to be honest with you. It's exciting at the beginning of your career where you go, I got it. Ben Rossi. One little line next to CFT. Now it's like it got to the point where it was ridiculous.
How do I cram this onto a
I don't even
business
do it
card?
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even. My name's on there. Who cares anymore? But what the heck was I going to say? Forgot what I was going to say. About detail and education. I could say one thing about my studying process for 21 years. When I would learn something, I would write it down. I'd learn it. I'd write it down. I'd apply it, and I would do it immediately. And just like you say, I never played basketball. I tried it once, and the coach was like, "You sure you want to do this?" That's why I stuck with football and baseball. But I'm able to. I guess it's something you learn. It's a skill you learn by teaching yourself. And so I just studied basketball. How do you do it? What does it mean? What's this look like? How do you play it? We watched it before, but I never really understood the game until I broke it down. And I'm just using that as an example. We went undefeated, won the whole league. It's just a matter of studying and understand that performance is performance, making people move properly, preparing them properly, watching coaches out there in the world that try to warm their team up and send them on a long run. It's laughable to me. I warm every team up the same way. It takes 5 minutes, and we're prepared. And it's again, it's mentality with all those teams. We're always a family, and we're always, working for each other. So I guess that's the bottom line. You're teaching me something today about me, I guess, in this interview, because it all seems to tie together, about this approach and about the community and about, details.
Yeah. So when you've trained individuals before, is it a little bit harder to get the community ethos in there of always push it? Is that around? Is that something that you've tried to develop?
That's something I tried to develop. At ATP, we live it. That's the other. I have that over here on this. But that's always been our thing. We live it, and live it to me is like it's everything. You're all in. You have this mentality. You'll see when you leave my gym, you could tap on the wall right when you leave, and it says "Live." You tap on the sign. There's an ethos, and that's what we have. We have a mentality, and we create that here. One-on-one stuff, maybe that's easier. I'm right here. I'm right in your face. This is how I am. And, much like with Parkinson's, from PD, I'm not a pat on the back. Oh, I feel bad for you, guy. I'm an in your face, and this is what it's going to take, guy. And that's my approach to all of it. I feel bad you've been diagnosed with this, but all right, let's put that aside and let's go kick some ass and focus on doing what it takes to make sure you're better tomorrow. And I do that the same way one-on-one. 21 years ago, I started with kids and in fitness, and that's where my career began. And I was working with kids, and I would go into schools like Hathaway Browns, and I would just preach. I would preach that, your education is so important, but it's just as important as, health and fitness is just as important as your education. And, I really went after obesity, childhood obesity, and tried to just go at all that stuff. And that's where I started. One-on-ones came. It's funny, 21 years in this business, fitness has evolved a million times over.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was like, let me show you this equipment. You'd walk around. This is a push machine. Here's a pull machine. Here's a leg extend. Boring, man. And it was like,
now they can take a strand of your hair and burn it and tell you how much arsenic is in your blood and what you should do today.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's just gone crazy. So private training turned into small group training, turned into large group training, it goes on and on and on. And what was machine-based training has become functional training to everybody's got lanes set up, and they always ask, are you a CrossFit gym? Nah. Not CrossFit, man.
Yeah, once I started seeing CrossFit, I was like, I'd come in here with my dad a couple of times to do some workouts, and I was like, oh, it kind of looks like ATP.
Right.
Yeah.
ATP, I was never going to be a gym owner. Let me just say that right now. That was 8 years ago. That's all IMG's fault. And that's one of the manager here is like, oh, I got this cool space in the back. Go check it out. I'm like, no, don't show me. All right, show me. You come back. And
how do you reluctantly create that?
Man, I wasn't going to do it, man. I can't even fathom being an owner of anything. It wasn't my goal, but I had the vision I saw this cool place, IMG, and I wanted to bring, if the best athletes in the world could train a certain way, why can't everybody train that way? And this was right before CrossFit popped on scene. I'm not a competitor with them. I'm not, absolutely not. But we just believe in training with purpose, not circus. So circus is you could throw a bunch of stuff out there in the room. Here you go, have at it. Purpose. It starts from measurement. You learn what people are all about, and then you put them through stuff. It's got to fit in. You can't just say, hey, here you go. Good luck. This is great for you. You got to know where you're coming and going. And then, we push hard. We push to the max in here. But what separates us from competitors, which I don't really compete with anybody. I don't care. But from the CrossFits and that type of world is we really focus on crossing the planes of the body. You don't want to create an imbalance when you train somebody. So, we're pushing, we're pulling, we're twisting. There's a lot of different ways your body is supposed to go. So, and it should be done there's a proper way to warm up. There's a proper way to get your muscles prepared before you do the weights and do these things. A lot of people skip out on warm-ups and they don't activate the proper parts of the planes of their body before they work out. And then guess what? You're doing all this other stuff and you're steps away from damaging yourself. There's a lot of things I can go off on the whole CrossFit thing, and I don't downplay anybody, so I don't want to do that. But there's a lot of overloading going in the same type of body parts and areas of the body. When you continue to overload and grind those same types of things, you get hurt. So
this would make the third time in 5 episodes that we've talked about kind of the downsides of CrossFit. Yeah.
You've heard this before.
This has come up a couple of times, but it got a lot of people in the gym.
Listen,
don't
let me go back.
But I'm entirely in agreement about the overloading.
I want to say that about CrossFit. And the one positive thing I can say, man, they did bring effort back to training. Being an athlete and playing college football and this and that, man, you had to take it to another level. And you believed in that pain is weakness leaving the body, or you hurt or you're injured approach. It brought effort back. And I think that's one of the most positive things I can say. And the other thing,
get rid of circus. Now people
will
do push-ups.
No, you're right.
They'll work.
It got rid of a bunch of junk out there, and it hones in on effort, and there's a community there. There's an ethos when you walk into those gyms. They know what they're about. There's a you could train for a competition. So it's brought effort in the training. And I do respect that about that world for sure.
Yeah. So you played college ball?
Oh yeah. I played at Menor High School. I played football forever. I was a captain in high school, and then I went to Baldwin Wallace in the Cleveland area, Division III school. Listen, I am 5'7", man. I wanted to play, so I didn't try to go any bigger than 3. But I was a corner in college. Kicked some butt. I love defense. Love to hit, man.
So was your education along with that in exercise science, physiology?
No. I studied physical therapy at Baldwin Wallace. I got 3 years of college ball in and ruptured a tendon in my hand. Ew. Yeah, wasn't happy about it. And so I transferred schools, and I went to Cleveland State and got into the business, and then got a degree in business management and labor relations. And I'm glad I did, because it taught me so much about the business side of it. I mean, who knows what's going to come back around and where you're going to end up. Had I not done that, I don't think I'd be running a nonprofit and a for-profit.
Yeah, well, it lets you actually interact with the world at a scale like this.
100%. It taught me so much. It was a different approach, and I'm really glad I did it. But it did put me in the realm of I need to get as many certifications as I can. You know, I was crazy for a while. It was ridiculous. I told you. So, yeah, it did put me in that run for a while. And I'm glad I did. And I'm so happy I did all the things I did. Because, you know, in the end, you put them all together and you apply them all. So
it's cool to see how people piece together like the different little patches of their life. Yeah. So did you know for certain when you were in college that you were wanting to go into training? Or
well, listen, it was a lifetime of training because you played sports, right?
Well, yeah.
No, here's what happened. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was at the point I was like finishing up college.
I don't think anybody can relate to that. Yeah.
You know, I watching my buddies that worked at like Lincoln Electric, and they're doing all right. They got their houses and their Mustangs and their jet ski, you know. And I was always like, God, maybe I did this wrong. Maybe I did it wrong. How are they doing all this? And here I am strapped trying to finish college. So when college ended, one of my buddies was like, hey man, we're starting this flag football team. Come up and meet us. So I go and but you have to be the coach. You know, it's our team. We'll play, but you know, you coach it. Of course, you know, Mr. Organized, they send me. While I was there, I met a good friend of mine from college. He was actually my athletic trainer in college. I taped my ankles every day or whatever, you know. He's like, man, listen, I am managing a gym, or I'm running a gym and I need a manager. All right, man, I'm in. So that equated to folding towels, cleaning machines, cleaning bathrooms. You know, I am proud.
Sounds like the big dog manager at a gym.
That's right. I am proud to say that I started from the ground level of my career, and I'm proud of it because any of the young guys that I brought in now, guess where I start them? You need to learn how to run a business the right way, and you know, one of the things that IMG really preached was state of the art facility, because they'd always put us up at the Ritz-Carlton when we went there, and they're world class. The world-class cleanliness, the world-class from their approach, the systematic approach, how they take care of you, and they hammered that into our head, you know. So here we are 8 years, and our facility is going to always look brand new. I have a quality standard that I care about. And so I teach that. It's a big part of my hiring here, is that I don't care who walks into the gym, they need to feel the same as the last person that walked in, and the last person, they have to have the same experience. You're going to walk in, you're going to get wowed, and you're going to know that you're working out on stuff that's safe and clean, and you know, it matters. It matters. So that's when I go back to square one here. I hated it at the time. I'm finishing up college and, you know, running to the gym to clean and, you know, but it was the best thing I ever did. And you get a client and then it turns into 2, 3, 4, and you roll. All of a sudden you're in the mix.
Oh. So is the coaching a way of staying? I mean, it sounds like you just love the game. So
I love
is this staying connected with it?
Yeah. I can't get away from it, man. I tried. I tried taking a year off, and then as soon as someone said, hey, you know, we're going to be, okay, I'm in. Sign me up. I can't get away. I love it, man. I don't know what it is. I think it's one of the big things I learned along the way was long-term athletic development, LTAD. And the good ones out there know what that means.
That's one thing I wanted to ask about, because you work with a lot of, I mean, all sorts of athletes up to the highest level, is how do you approach longevity and recovery?
Mm-hmm. Well, those are huge things. You know, longevity in an athlete is key. But like I said, it goes to mentality first. You have to be able to take on, like I said, this young person and be able to sculpt them into someone that, you know, I just watched yesterday, one of my athletes from when he was the youngest guy ever just signed with Case Western Reserve to go play football. That's an example of long-term athletic ability. He's mentally strong. He's doing kick ass in school and is going to play a sport at a prestigious place, you know, and it's like, so that's long-term athletic development. You know, you're teaching them right from the get-go. You're teaching them how to properly warm up. You teach them how to properly recover, and you're training them the right way so they can pay attention to detail, so they are on the field and not getting hurt. You know, when you see athletes at a pro level and the season's getting started and all of a sudden they throw a hamstring or they, you know, pull a groin muscle or a twisted.
Anybody who's had a fantasy football league.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
So why does that stuff happen? Why does that happen? It happens because there's this big word that, you know, that some people use. It's called periodization. You know, there's a cycle and a specific way to train people so that they are 100% ready on game day. And when you see people get injured, there are freak accidents in sports, of course, and that's different. But when you see someone get injured in like a hamstring gets pulled or something, that speaks to us as coaches saying, you prepared your athlete too soon. They were ready a month ago, So there's a right way to train people, and that's why doing it right, man. That's why quality of the stuff you do and your delivery is important. We train from a 360-degree approach here. Whether you're training general fitness, or you're training a competitor, or you're training a young kid, or you're training someone with Parkinson's, you're moving around. You're not going to stand and sip on your coffee. Well, we do. I love coffee, but I don't know how I would live without it. But you got to move around, and you got to see all angles, and you got to be someone there's touch involved, there's realignment of form involved, there's attitude involved. There's proper techniques to, reaching the pinnacle of your fitness success, I guess.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I see that between learning to teach yoga and teaching guitar, and how proprioception just plays into all of it.
Come on, that's huge. Exactly right.
Yeah, so I wanted to also ask, because this is just a wide range of people. So InMotion, people are coming in for working on finding a better quality of life for Parkinson's disease. But ATP, what would you describe the client base like over there? Because I feel, my parents go there. That's how we're connected. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But my parents, who are in their 60s, come and train here. They've been coming for years. And then there are other trainers, freelance trainers, who are coming in with professional athletes.
Yep.
What's the mix feel like?
Well, first of all, we take on everybody. And when I say everybody, there's three categories in my opinion. It's when playing is your sport, so kids, that type of approach, the younger youth. When training is your sport, so there's your parents. We look at, it is their sport. They may not be out there competing, but this is their sport now. They're trying to compete with themselves and get better. And then when competing is your sport, so we those are our three main classifications. Parkinson's is another world, but it's pretty fun to see a mix of people like that. To see these monsters. One of my coaches was Adrian Clark. He's humongous. I mean, he was a pro lineman, played in the NFL for 6 years, and he's gigantic. This guy's like 380, 6 foot too much. He makes me look like a shrimp.
I can't believe we're the same species.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You look at guys like that, you're like, are you kidding me? You're one out of 20 other players on the football field. How the heck do you guys do that? Yeah, I don't know how else to answer that question other than that. I mean, it's just, we have a broad range here, but they all fit in a specific category and we all work together.
So how did you always have an idea of play as your sport, train as your sport, compete as your sport?
Yeah.
How early on did you start seeing things in those terms?
Well, like I said, I started with the youth world. I mean, I started there to start and knew that we had to attack that population. And then, of course, when you're in a gym setting, you're getting the moms and dads and parents and that general fitness crowd that comes in. And I didn't reach the higher level athletes until I got into more like this setting of my gym. It comes with time and being able to, I learned most of that at IMG really, man, the terminology to it. How do you put words to that like that with playing is your sport? And it really helped me understand that. And that's what when you meet in a small group of great fitness minds, you categorize and you figure out what these things mean.
Down and actually have details. Yeah.
Yes. So it makes it a little bit easier to talk about and to, we're training kids. We're training, this is what it is. And it's a nice way to look at it, a nice, easy way to approach it.
That's so cool. So do you still get out there? Do you still train people? Personally?
Well, that's a great question. How do you know how you know all this stuff? But I'm at a point in my career where year 21, I do love to train. I train a lot. I still train some on the floor. I love to participate in some of the group classes at InMotion still. I feel like I'm the heart and soul of this. So when I do get in the room, I can bring a different level than some bring. And I mean, obviously being the person behind creating it, so I do like to still be on the floor. Some of my clients that I still train privately at ATP, I don't want to say that it's more strategic, but these are people that are key players at InMotion. Because a lot of my clients stepped up to be on the board and serve on our board at InMotion. So we do have relationships still, and I can't break away. I do love it. So I have to still be out there, and I still have to train myself. which, it's an important piece to all of it, working out yourself.
Yeah, I forgot to ask about your training.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it used to be daily, and I used to have a very strict routine. But I've just noticed as of late in the past couple of years, I'm really focused on everybody else more than me. I still train and I still get it done because I have to know how it feels. I'll never put someone through a workout I haven't done myself. But my priorities shift. And when you are trying to take InMotion to another level, I'm becoming this guy in an office now, which I'm still going to wear my workout gear. I'm not going to ever put a suit on. But the career shifts, man. It shifts around a little bit, and you just come to terms with it. Talk about brushing ego aside. All right. And that was a part of my career because I was a guy that trained from 5 a.m. in the morning to 9 at night, 5-6 days a week, had no life. This is what I did. But I built all this clientele up, So.
Well, just knowing how many things you're juggling to begin with.
It's a lot of hats.
Yeah. So even before InMotion, I was be asking, so where are you finding your own time for it?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I would do it at a class. I work out in classes now. I just joined another coach. Once I started giving some of my other coaches, here, you're going to have to start teaching this class and that class. I became a part of the class. I became someone that got my workout in with them now, But
that's, actually the last episode was with my friend Lindsay, and she's running a yoga event and retreat company. And she's funny. Man, I'm busy. My practice is when I'm leading a practice now.
That's right. That's it. Oh yeah. You said it. I get some of my best sweats just doing the classes when I'm teaching it. It's that saying of when you want to take it to the next level, you have to begin to work on the business and not in the business so much. I'm really on the business right now, and I want to know what it's going to take to go from A to Z, and I won't stop until InMotion reaches its pinnacle. And we are addressing more people. ATP, it's doing great. I mean, it's got a great coaching staff. I have 15 coaches over there that are just kick butt and quality and are educated and know what it takes to take people from A to Z. And, I hire them all based upon, what do you bring to fitness? What's your niche? What makes you special? And I expect them all to coach from that 360-degree approach. They are independent contractors here. And I believe in open architecture. And that means, we have to get X, Y, and Z done, but you can do it your way. You can do it your way as long as I know that it's, quality and educated and done. And I have 15 people that rock, and I'm proud of them over there. And then, of course, like 33 people on this side with InMotion. Can't ask for better people. You can't. It's a special person to be able to sit in a room of 20, 25 people with Parkinson's and to be their best friend, motivator, all those things. That matters.
Yeah. And this can go for any sort of business. How have you been finding the right people to start adding to this world?
InMotion side?
In both sides, finding good trainers that you believe in. And
that's tough. Well, I'll start at ATP.
Yeah.
I took a shot in the dark to open this place. And I had a commitment from 2 coaches, and then I showed up by myself for like 6 months here until these other coaches came on board. So you can imagine I was training all these in smaller facilities, doing my thing. And I brought them here, and I had this huge gym, and it was just still me and my clients. I was like, oh, what'd you do? I teamed up with some great coaches. A couple walk-ins came off the street, and we're like, yeah, we heard, I caught wind that you were opening this up, and what a neat concept. We had the turf, and you had handful of Lifetime guys came over. I had one key player that came over, and he was kind of a link to some heavy hitters, and that's what happened there. As far as the Parkinson side, I'm happy to say that I have had 0 turnover in coaches since I started day one here. These are all the same people that we started this together 4 years ago. So the initial hiring came from some of these events when I met who's teaching this, who's who out there, how do we get involved? And that's how I started. I called all of them. All right, how do we do this? And who are the local people that could do this? And no one said no. Yeah, I'm all in. You're going to start a community center for Parkinson's? Yeah, I'm in.
Why would you turn over? I mean, the people who are coaching here, I can't imagine that they're like, well, there's a more important mission that I could be doing.
No. We're all empowered. We all wear that armor. So yeah, you don't want to go anywhere else. We're on this mission together of helping these people figure it out. And it's fun. It's awesome. It's a different crowd when you're next door and you're training general fitness per se. A little bit different world when you're training somebody for maybe a vacation or that kind of stuff. And then when you walk through the door here, you're embraced with loyalty and a grateful group of people that are like, they can't even believe that we're doing all this for them. They don't have to pay a dime to be here, I don't know. And we've raised I think we're up to $3.5 million to offer our services free of charge.
Wow.
That's a hustling group of people. And, truthfully, we're looking to expand. We have to. I've had to cut classes off. I don't know what I'm going to do. So we're really working heavily now, strategic planning process of determining how to blow the walls out. Place next to me moved out, so we may go that way. Maybe I go that way a little bit into my gym. Whatever it takes to be able to take it to the next level, we're going to do it.
Yeah, I've heard that from some people. It's easier to grow a business than to keep it the exact same size.
That's right. It's just that's at that point now where we have to go. We have to move. It's go time. Time to take a jump and blow it up again. And we will. Oh, we will. We'll do this again a year or two from now, and you'll see. Mm-hmm. Man, you did it.
Yeah, I feel like we'll need to.
We're going to have
there's
to.
Just too much to cover.
It's just so ongoing. It's not going to stop, man. So it's fun. It makes you excited to get up and go to work every day. That's for sure.
That is real cool.
Yeah.
So at what point in your career do you think that you were definitely doing this for other people? Because a lot of people will start out, and I got to admit that I teach music selfishly.
Yeah, right.
I teach music because I like to play.
Of course.
And that's
right.
what I can offer to make a living.
I think you've made a good move. If it's what you love, you do it, right?
Yeah. And I'm loving this too.
Yeah.
But I've heard so many stories from some of your clients. Mm-hmm. That's how InMotion started and how you really poured yourself into it.
Yeah.
Your business partner, Dan, who started as a client, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did.
But he has an incredible story himself.
He has a story. Yeah. He has a huge story. I helped him lose 65 pounds. He was a very overweight dude, a young guy. And he was like, man, I need your help. I have 3 kids and I want to be able to take my shirt off and cut the grass next year. Like, all right, well, he was a neighbor of mine. He lived 5 houses down from me. And I had a great gym in my house. And I was like, I'll help you get in shape. When you live in a neighborhood and people know what you do for a living, they all want to tap into that resource. And I had been down this road where I offered to train people at home or do this, and it always fizzles. So I was like, all right, well, if you're serious, 1 month from now, this is what you need to do. Bam, bam, bam. All right. We did it all, and he showed up, and we started training together at my house. Yeah, 65 pounds. He shredded down to just a lean dude. And like I said, opened up the door to this IMG Academy just from looking online one day. Saw something about it. And took my career a different way, So we're both loyal to each other, for sure.
Wow.
For sure. He's my right-hand man. He helps out a lot here. There's so much that he does that I don't do and I don't really want to do.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I don't do.
How did you decide that he was the guy to partner?
He said it to me. I was training him in my basement. He goes, Ben, I don't know how to tell you this. Because at that point, I was juggling. Part of my career was I stepped into the country club scene. I was at 2 big facilities. I got out of there and I had an opportunity to go talk to a country clubber and say the president of the board, like, hey, listen, why are your clients training with me outside of here when you have a great gym here? Oh, come on in. So I did that. I had that same sales pitch to every single country club in the area. And I had a little small gym in this complex up front that I was using. At any rate, one day Dan's like, you need someone to help you, man. You need an assistant. I'm like, I don't know. Well, maybe you're right. So he was all in. He wanted to get on board and help guide me because I was getting over my head. I was seeing way too many people, working way too many hours, dragging myself in every day. It was getting tough. And he saw it and jumped in, and I'm glad he did because I don't know if we'd be here either. He needed to help me. There's a lot I couldn't do. And so he's definitely helped out a ton. I've been a key player here for sure.
Wow. So, getting back to that question, how selfishly, if you ever selfishly trained people, did you start, and when did you start really doing it for other people?
It's interesting.
Because 100%, that's what it looks like now.
Well, I had to, when you're an ego in college, you're a little selfish. You have to be. And you have this selfish drive when you're getting going and trying to learn the way. and I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but you learn, you study, you apply, you try. 2004, I decided to transform myself and get on stage and be a competitive bodybuilder. That was 6 months of my life, and I went to like 6% body fat. I mean, I say that to you because that was the turning point.
Life is pain for a bodybuilder.
Holy cow, man.
Anybody who I've talked to who says they've competed in either like physique, bodybuilding, whatever, I have to ask why.
Yeah, well, I was up for the challenge. I'm a type of guy that, hey, would you be willing to? And that's all he had to say to me. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. I got to do this. Well, because I wanted to see what it meant to take a client from A to Z. But you can't do that unless you do it yourself. So, I had a body. I was 220 at the time. I had a football body. That was who I was. And I took it down from 15% body fat to 6%. When you do that and you go through that process, you know what it takes. And it gives you like that green card of you got that medal of honor that says, well, yeah, I've done this. And I know what it takes. So when you're trying to build a personal training business and you have a client that wants to help you, that are begging you to lose weight or this and that, you know what it takes. You know what it takes to transform yourself, but you have to do it first. It's like I won't go through a workout I won't give anybody a workout without doing it myself. Same thing. Once you've been there and you've gone through the agony of doing all this stuff and you understand what it takes, that was like, to me in fitness, that was like getting my doctorate. It was like, yeah, I've done it. I've gone from here to here. This is what it takes. And I sacrificed to do it. I wanted to help people forever. It really started in high school. I had a young lady that was handicapped and and I remember from my chemistry class, no one wanted to be her partner, so I did. And I was her partner the whole year. And that's when, I love taking care of people, and I always have since I was a kid. But that was something that was a turning point in my life. And it was before, I was still in high school. And I ended up writing my college entrance paper about her. She blew me off. I mean, she was amazing. She didn't communicate well, but we learned how to work with each other. And we got straight A's in chemistry and kicked butt in our labs. But it was a life-changing experience as a young person. That's what happened, and I carry that. I always think about her, but I carried that into my career. And I think that's, once you learn compassion at a young age, I think it just stays with you.
Yeah.
We do a lot of work with.
That's just somebody you bump into in life and to have a big effect on them.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I've met up with her after and talked to her about it, but not since. I haven't seen her in so long. But we did a lot of work with the Wounded Warrior Project. And that was someone that we teamed up with, the fitness component of Wounded Warrior Project. Jason Martinez was a guy out of from IMG that we met. Amazing dude. And he handles all the fitness and everything for all the Wounded Warriors. And I just met so many cool guys through him. At any rate, we had a Sergeant Shervon Phillip was someone that came here. And we worked with him for, maybe 3 years. He had 10 years alive. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But this was a gentleman that he and his men rode over a bomb and just wiped him out. And some of the signs, the billboards you see on the side of the road, some of those guys, those are all those guys that were part of this battalion. Anyway, so we were lucky enough to get Shervon here. And Shervon was a guy that, talk about no communication. We communicated through eyebrow raising. And it was awesome. It was amazing. And Dan and I, hats off to him on this too, because he also wears this compassion on his sleeve. We would pick this guy up, move him around, put him through this. He was stuck in a wheelchair, a feeding tube, you name it. And we put him through stuff that no one, you could go on our videos and see him on our page, the work we did with him. I was having him do so much crap that I think people were afraid to ever put him through. And he kicked butt. And, he loved his rap music, came in. We'd know when he loved it. We'd get a big old smile out of him. It was an era of our life here that was very transforming. And I know that led into some of this work with Parkinson's and how we approach it. And, but I want to definitely get that out there. That was a major piece to my career, working with the Wounded Warrior Project.
I feel like there's a dignity that people find out about themselves if you show them that they're resilient.
That's right. Oh, it's so true. That is a true comment, man. Yeah. It was amazing. It was sad because I felt that he could do so much more. He was like trapped. He was just trapped. He was there, but he was trapped in that damn body. And But yeah, there was a lot of pride, and he'd be so proud of himself, his accomplishments when he came in. He would just do things that none of us thought he could do, you know. But I'll tell you, the first session, he came in a wheelchair, which he, spent a lot of his life in. And, when you take someone out of a wheelchair, they're bent up, man. They're used to this. Used to sitting in a bent way. End of session 1, we did trigger point on him. He was flat as could be on that table. I mean, he was just relaxed. And, you knew you had him from the get-go. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Tough to see him go, though. I'll say that. Jeez, oh, man. Hard. But you get invested in this, man. I think that's something that I work on and I talk about with my coaches a lot, is this compassion fatigue type approach. We have to talk about it as coaches because we see it. Yes, there's so many positive things going on, but in 10, 11 years with Parkinson's, I've seen a lot of people pass away. But, that's not from the workouts they're doing, this and that. It is still a progressive disease. And some of these people were people that I started with that were, in their 80s. And they were already, they were battling, they fought hard, but stuff gets you. People don't die from Parkinson's. They die from complications, other things. So it's been, you have that side of it. And so compassion fatigue is a big piece to all this.
So that's just the hurt after knowing these people?
It is. Oh, it is. Because you have to, in this business, you have to develop relationships. I used to have there was a guy that I worked for years ago. He's like, you're too personal with your clients. What do you mean? Isn't this business called personal training? I was always a believer, like, you have to get somebody, you get to know them on a certain level before you can get them to do certain things, So same thing here. You get really involved and you're really close with them. And I think that's the key to success. You have to know people. People are people. They all want to talk. They all have a story to tell. And, I like to know everything I can. I don't want to just know you as Parkinson's. What were you before this? What'd you do for a living? Who are you? What's your family like? These things matter. You can't just come in and expect them to kick their butt without getting to know each other first. So yeah, you get very invested, and it's tough to see loss, but it comes with the territory.
I can't help but feel that that's gonna leave a mark on a person after
for sure.
Compassion fatigue.
Yeah, that's the word. Those are the words I use.
Yeah. Have you? Has that changed how you deal with grief, deal with loss over time, or
you get thick skin, man?
Thick skin?
Yeah, you get thick skinned. It hurts you for a minute. You miss, but we really focus on just positive. Keep the positive with them. You miss them so much. I lost 2 of my founders. Lee Handel, the guy that got me involved in this, passed away.
I guess that's the only way you get out of this.
And Alan Goldberg passed away. There were 2 of my, and my last session with both of them were like, they were so mad at me. Well, Alan Goldberg is the guy that did all these paintings you see in InMotion. This guy never painted until he got Parkinson's, So his last session, he never got a chance to utilize InMotion. He was a backer of it. He was a client of it. In our last session, he screamed at me. It was a yelling match between the 2 of us. Why don't you have this now? Why? I need it now, And I can laugh and be funny about it, but I felt bad for him. He's right. He never got a chance to experience what it meant to be at InMotion and to work out and to be a part of it. And Lee Handel played a big role. He was here in the beginning. Fortunately, he got prostate cancer and passed away from that with his Parkinson's, So 2 really great guys that played a major role. But yeah, you get stronger and stronger, man, as time goes on with that stuff. And just remember the good stuff. Yeah, so speaking of these paintings, let me steer away from this dark conversation we're having. So if you walk up and down our hallways, Alan Goldberg was one of our founders. And he never painted until he got Parkinson's, like I said. Some people with Parkinson's, a lot of them they experience hyper-creativity. And so when I speak of the InMotion way, this is what I'm trying to create. So if you look at our schedule of all of our different colors that we mentioned, our day always starts with some type of creative thinking type class or expressive type class, creative expressive, which is more like a yoga or a dance type class. Half hour off, that leads right into a better everyday class, which is our strength, performance, balance, my classes, high amplitude. And then every class is followed by either an art, a music, a drumming type class, something that makes them do that other creative side, that expressive, and get them to think or write or do, So there's some science that I'm working on showing that, mindfulness, when you get your mind right, and then you get into some high impact exercise, it helps you create this hyper creative mode to where you can do these other things. So that's what I'm trying to preach here. And that's my method of everything. And I'm trying to make it roll. I know it's the answer, but no one's doing that. And it's my way of doing things here. And I did that because that's what I learned from Alan. Alan Goldberg was a mindful guy in the morning that would come in and we'd kill it. He'd either see me or we'd do a boxing session, and he'd go home and do this. Symptom free. And this was a guy that was in a wheelchair, had a terrible tremor, head moved all over the place. Amazing guy.
Yeah, these are compelling paintings.
They're ridiculous. And it's like, how do you do that? So they just prove that there's science there. And one way I look at Parkinson's is, they all require medication. And medication is like, they have to take this stuff to get their dopamine levels up so they can function properly, And medication is something that they take every 4 hours. And it's really like, you can look at it from the standpoint of, it's like splashing dopamine on the brain, where exercise forces the release of dopamine. You see immediately just hearing that, you think of, oh, that's powerful. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's just as important as taking that medication, if not more. You're forcing new circuits and you're creating new ways. The brain's amazing. You can transform the brain.
No, that's something that I found out as a teenager, getting into sports, and I will not feel right unless I move at some point during the day.
Wow. Is that the truth?
Yeah.
That's the truth, man. Feel lousy without it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And then your body starts kind of craving it because where's the dopamine, man?
That's right. Man.
Yeah.
You need it.
Doesn't matter how tired you are, your brain wants it.
You need it.
Yeah.
You want it. That's a good craving.
Yeah.
It's the best drug out there.
Free too.
That's right.
Kind of. Man. So, yeah, these are beautiful.
You have to see the rest when you leave.
Yeah. So the patients who are coming to InMotion, do we call them patients or?
I call them clients.
Clients who are coming to InMotion, are they here for the entire day, for that entire round of classes and modalities?
That's what I preach. That's what I preach. And every color level has that opportunity to do each level of class. All three like that. And that's how it's set up throughout the day. If anybody comes out to me, you're like, I don't know if I'm getting enough out of this class. Well, it's an easy conversation. Are you doing this beforehand? Are you staying for this afterwards? Oh, no. Okay, well, do the whole thing and watch what happens. That's why we created it this way for you, So, yeah, that's the answer. And I'm going to work hard to prove that. That's what I do every day. I got to figure out I found some great science that says that you can release dopamine a certain way to get it out of storage mode into use mode. And I'm working on tying it together and using my data to prove that we're doing that. So
yeah,
a lot of studies out there, and there's a lot of grants we're going to seek by doing our own studies to prove that.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So what is the next step in the game plan if InMotion has to grow?
Expansion.
How is that going to look?
It's going to be a whole new space. It's going to be another 6,000 square feet, I hope.
Man.
That's my plan. Have to. I want to reach
here?
more. Here.
Yeah.
That place moved next door, so there's another spot opened up looking to blow the walls out. But again, if our operating budget is around $1 million plus a year, I got to add that. I got to add to that to do that. So that's why we're having big meetings with foundations and grants, and I have to produce my outcomes. That's heavy on my radar, expanding first so I can grow my sizes, or my class sizes here. And like I said, the other big thing is just proving to the world that this is the way to do it. And I will find a way to get everybody to work together in this. I don't care. I'll say world. I don't care. It's nothing, Yes, I will find a way to merge it, man, and find the people out there. There's players out there that want to do this in other communities, and they figure out how to take this around there and do that. And the bottom line is to help people with Parkinson's. That's it. There's no ego here. I'll say that 1,000 times, but there isn't. And I don't care if I ever open another InMotion. I just need the concept to get out there so these people are getting helped. And that's it. That's what I care about.
Man, beautiful. I'm glad you're doing this work, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyway, we're probably coming to the amount of time that you can give to me in one go. But thanks so much for
my pleasure,
giving me the
man.
time, man. This was really cool to learn about everything you're doing.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Come back in a year or two. We'll see where everything's gone.
I'll be ready.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody who tuned in Thanks for coming. Really appreciate you listening. Take care. Bye. Hey, I'm still here. Thanks for listening. And if you love the show, please go onto iTunes and leave a review. It helps much more than just leaving a rating. It's a way that you can directly help the show, and that's going to help us keep getting good guests and putting out good content for all of y'all. So if you love us as much as we love you, please go ahead and just say one nice thing about us. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be able to sit down with these people and talk about excellence and pursuing excellence. And I love that I can provide it for anybody who's interested. So if you'd like to hear more, this is a very simple way that you can help support the show. Anyway, thanks again. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. Bye.